Hello, everyone. I'm Ron Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media. Thank you so much for your time. It is International Women's Day across the world, and I'm honored to be joined by two of the BVI's very finest. Of course, today we're focusing on women in construction. These women are working at the RDA, and they play very pivotal roles within the RDA, but most importantly, they're in a male-dominated field. I'm joined by the lovely Miss Kenisha Forbes, along with Miss Solange T. Cooper, who are going to share their experiences and most importantly, celebrate and inspire, along with positive inclusion that will help you, other upcoming professionals within the fields, to be inspired. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
Orange alert! Orange alert!
Fire is spreading across the BVI. The fastest, most reliable, and affordable fiber internet service is here for you. Look out for fire in these new locations: Slaney, Duff Bottom, Manual Reef, Seacoast Bay, Albion, Hannah's, Palestina, Pleasant Valley, and Havers. Fiber is in your area. Call 444-4444 or visit a CCT store to find out more and bring it home. More locations coming soon.
He hit me. Will CG cover this?
Don't worry. Remember when I was in that competitive arm wrestling circuit? 3-time champion, baby! I did feel bad crushing all those arms and dreams. So I took them all out for ice cream. And then we got crushed. Anyway, CG handled my claims fast.
That explains the arm.
The best cover for the best value. CG Insurance. Good like that.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. As mentioned, I'm Ron Grant, and you're watching 284 Media. RDA Women in Construction. Welcome to the set, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Allow me to wish you a happy International Women's Day as well. Now, as I mentioned, you are both women in construction, working in very pivotal roles at the RDA. Holistically, I'd like to each give you an opportunity, starting with Ms. Forbes, to speak a little bit about your role and what you do at the RDA.
Okay, thanks, Ron. So my name is Kenisha Forbes. I'm the Director of Program Strategy at the Virgin Islands Recovery and Development Agency. And as the Director of Program Strategy, I am responsible for helping to shape the strategic direction of the agency, supporting the CEO, as well as managing the monitoring and evaluation and communication functions at the agency.
Okay, and Solange?
Solange Cooper here. I am the Senior Project Manager at the RDA. So I am responsible for overseeing the other project managers we have performing at the RDA and the projects that we implement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you are each in your roles, of course, as we mentioned, we're specific to women in construction because the aim of this interview is to showcase the best and brightest, not only of women, but women in male-dominated fields. I want to begin with you, Solange. Let's talk about project management and how you maneuver through the gender roles and perhaps the lack of equality within that field. How do you manage any challenges, and perhaps what are some of the challenges that you face as a female project manager?
A few of the challenges I faced, these include, we have sexism, misogyny, just a complete dismissal of my inputs at times.
Okay.
Overcoming that is just confidence and your attitude, but also confidence doesn't come out of thin air. It requires a lot of investment in yourself and a lot of edification and becoming an expert or an authority on what you do so that you gain respect. You cannot gather or garner respect without knowing and being good at what you do.
Understood.
First and foremost.
And I agree.
Yeah. So other challenges are basically within the field itself. I don't know if you'd like to discuss that, but
yeah, please share.
Some of the challenges I faced, basically I've overcome them by just maintaining what I call my form and not panicking.
Okay.
And just working the problem. A lot of the times you encounter unforeseens in construction. It's typical. So you have to be cognizant of just working the problem and being making sure that you don't lose your form in terms of processing what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Kenisha, tell us about some of the challenges that you may have experienced along your career, but particularly in your role as at the RDA and a woman in construction.
Okay, so I would say my main challenge is probably based on how I present myself.
Okay.
I'm quite soft-spoken. I'm of small stature. So I think sometimes people don't necessarily take me seriously.
Okay.
And I also look very young.
Okay.
But in terms of overcoming that challenge, it would be upon interacting with me, I don't think it takes long for people to recognize that I have expertise in my area of sustainable development and planning. And also in ensuring that I make sure that my voice is heard in whatever room that I'm sitting in. I think that helps as well.
You mentioned something outside of the agenda that's, I think, very important and also serves as a challenge overall, the age demographic of persons feeling as though perhaps young professionals, and without knowing your age, I do see you as young professionals. What are your thoughts on your ability to, I guess, quote unquote, prove yourself within your industry based on not only your gender, but your age?
I like that question because it's getting to intersectionality and looking at how different aspects of your identity can shape your place in the world and also how others view you. I would say I'm not that young. I know I present as pretty young. But I would say by sharing the experience that I've gained, because I've born and raised in the Virgin Islands, but I've traveled rather extensively through Europe, through the US and Asia, and I've worked professionally in those continents, in countries in those continents. And so, upon having a conversation with me, I can pull from that experience, and that then lends itself to having a level of respect from those that interact with me. But I would say, as a young person, you need to recognize that whatever your experience is, that experience can be used to inform where you are and policies, etc., around you. So don't necessarily discount yourself because of age, because you have a different perspective based on where you are.
Understood. And Solange, have you ever or still experienced, because you mentioned eloquently about confidence, was that confidence always there? And if at what point it wasn't there, for persons watching, particularly young women who feel as though they have to prove themselves because they're a woman or because they're a certain age demographic, what do you say to that?
Well, just some history. I mean, when I first started working here in the BVI, I'm originally from St. Lucia.
Okay.
I was fresh out of university. I had not managed a project before, and the owner of my former employer literally dropped me here, and it was a sink or swim situation. I was still in my 20s at that point. But it's really about your attitude. And also for me at the time, it was a significant fear of failure.
Gotcha.
That was a real driving force in interacting with contractors, personnel that have, decades of experience on me. It was investing in myself, putting in the work, staying up until 12, 1 o'clock, reviewing the drawings, reviewing the bills of quantities, reviewing the contract, and edifying myself and making sure that I'm armed with information when I go out there on site, so that when I give an instruction or I am interpreting something that has happened on site and how I reconcile that with the contract and the bill of quantities and all of that, that I know what I'm saying.
Understood.
So I would say arm yourself with information, edify yourself, invest in yourself, because confidence doesn't come out of thin air. You have to take the time to invest in yourself.
And speaking of investment, what do you say, which is very well said, by the way, but Kenisha, I want to ask you, for the young women up and coming, from whether it be primary school, high school level, because we have to understand that holistically, our world still hasn't necessarily adapted to the evolution of women in construction or women in other related fields. What do you say to the young girl that is interested in construction or perhaps mechanics or any other male-dominated field, and for more reasons than one, she's apprehensive and perhaps may feel inclined to put that dream on the back burner just because of the stereotypes that surround it?
I would say don't let other people's ideas or stereotypes direct your path in life, because ultimately it's your life. If this is something that you enjoy, there are other women that have ventured into these fields. You can find a mentor within the field, and if there's nobody there, you be the first, because you can then become the mentor to somebody coming up. So I would say in general, you don't live your life for other people or what they want. You determine what you want out of life and go after it.
And Solange?
My advice would be that whatever you experience out there in the field, in whatever profession you're in, whatever negatives you experience is the other person's problem. It's not your problem. It shouldn't impact you. It's easier said than done, but that has been my approach in my career thus far. When I experience certain things on site, I realize that it has nothing to do with me. It's really the person, that it's their problem, not mine. So you just keep your focus on your goals and you go after them. It was that simple for me. I mean, not at first, but eventually I was able to reconcile all of that.
Understood.
Yeah.
I have to ask specifically because I do believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there are persons who still don't understand the role of the RDA in the territory. And I think it's important for us to not only mention that, but to look at the overarching aspect that women at the RDA, like yourselves, are really shaping the redevelopment of our territory. Kenisha, I want you to explain for persons who may not be aware, what is the role of RDA?
Okay, so in 2017, we had devastating hurricanes. There was 3 of events, first the floods and then Hurricane Irma and Maria. And of course, devastated our public infrastructure. And from that, the government of the Virgin Islands decided to form the Virgin Islands Recovery and Development Agency, which we call the RDA for short, to help lead the implementation of capital projects to recover the territory. Since then, so in April 2018, we were formed under a statute. Since then, it'll be 6 years in April of 2024. We've implemented quite a number of projects across the territory. We've implemented schools, including the Elmo Stout High School and the recently opened Jasper and Dyke Primary School, multipurpose educational facility. We've also implemented road projects, looking at re-engineering various areas of road. We've installed water reservoirs in various areas in the territory to improve access to water. We've also implemented recreational facilities, renewable energy installations. So a number of projects across sectors in the territory to help, as you said, not just recover the territory, but looking forward to development in capital projects.
Understood. I have to ask both of you, and this might be a very difficult question, but is there a particular project over your tenure so far that really meant something for you? If you could select one. You just mentioned quite a bit, both of you. Is there a project that stood out for you that you're extremely proud of having been a part of?
I would say the Elmo Stout High School.
I knew you were going to say that.
Perhaps because I'm a...
Absolutely, alumni, yeah.
Because I graduated from the then BVI High School. And I saw, of course, as the largest secondary school in the territory, I saw what the students and teachers were going through following Irma and Maria, and the importance of having that institution come back. I think that was a very important project for the territory.
And Solange?
I think I'm gonna point to a few, but I'd say the most recent, which is not with the RDA at the time, although it was the RDA being the implementing agency. I was still with my former employer at the time, FDL Consult Inc.
Okay.
But I did oversee the project in Fish Bay Rehabilitation.
Okay.
So that was, for me, throughout the course of that project, it was so many what we call roadside engineers complaining about the size of the culvert, how it was too small, and without having or understanding the engineering that went behind it. So seeing that it works, and we had a recent rainfall event, I can't remember what the name of it was. And I remember a colleague, sending a message in the group chat saying, Fish Bay is nice and clear and the culvert is working. And I responded and I said, yes, of course it works. So
Wonderful.
So for me, that was a nice moment.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
In this space, as the world acknowledges the contributions of women all across the world through International Women's Day, we still have a long way to go. Is there anything that you would like to see? Because the RDA, and just by you being here, is supporting inspiration and inclusion. That's a model that I find very close to the RDA, and your ability to willingly come here today speaks of that. Where would you like to see us go when it comes to gender equality and the recognition of the contribution of women worldwide?
So I guess I'll take it territory, and that'll speak a bit to the world. I would say I would like to see a society in terms of gender equality where every woman and girl has an opportunity to pursue their goals without having to face discrimination or barriers to that participation. And I would say that's important not just for women and girls, but for all of us.
Correct.
Because especially in the development story that the territory is in right now, while we have made a lot of progress, we still have a far way to go. And we need full participation, all hands on deck. And so people should feel empowered to play their part in that development story.
Understood. And Solange?
I think what Kenisha said is really well said, but I'll also add in terms of, at least in the professional setting for organizations, it's about actions and not just about words. You see organizations all the time, putting in their mission statements about
Policies
diversity
and
and equality and inclusion, but their actions are, antithetical to that. So I'd like to just say for organizations that you have to action what it is you actually say in your mission statements.
Just to practice what we preach.
Yes.
Awesome. My final question, and this one is to you, Kenisha, specific to being a born and raised Virgin Islander. When it's all said and done, when the history books are written, Kenisha Forbes, your name will be etched in history as a contributor of the Recovery and Development Agency, but holistically to what that means for the BVI. As a woman, as a Virgin Islander, what does that mean to you?
I think that means everything to me. I was having a conversation just earlier about some of the work that I've done internationally, because I've worked in the sustainable development field regionally within the Caribbean, as well as further afield internationally. And there came a point in time, I was sitting in Geneva writing a paper on crisis recovery in another country, and talking about all of the public policy interventions that would be best in these situations. And I'm like, why am I doing this for this country when this would actually be good policy for the Virgin Islands? So my contribution to the Virgin Islands has, in a lot of ways, been a driving force for me. So I would say it's everything to me.
Amazing. Ms. Forbes and Ms. Cooper, I want to take this opportunity to first and foremost thank you for your time, but most importantly, thank you for your contributions to these Virgin Islands in the fields that you are working in. We're honored here at 284 Media to have featured you for this International Women's Day, and we thank you sincerely for your contributions.
Thank you very much for having us.
Absolutely, viewers, that's all the time we have. We are here at 284 Media in collaboration with the RDA, speaking and inspiring, as well as touching on inclusion. Happy International Women's Day. You heard from the lovely Kenisha Forbes and Ms. Solange Cooper, RDA Women in Construction. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.